The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, "Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person." This is the story of a man who learned this lesson the hard way. Caius Valerius was a wealthy merchant in the heart of Rome, but his mind was a cluttered ledger of slights to be avenged, coins to be counted, and social ladders to be climbed. He was a man imprisoned by the trivial accumulation of tomorrow. One humid Tuesday, he stood in the forum, his face flushed with rage, berating a young scribe for a single smudge of ink on a shipping contract. To Caius, this smudge was a catastrophe, a stain on his reputation that required an hour of shouting to fix. Later that afternoon, a sharp, piercing pain in his chest sent him to the quiet, herb-scented chambers of an elderly physician. The physician, a man of few words, pressed an ear to Caius's chest, frowned, and pulled back with a look of profound pity. He told Caius that his heart beat with the erratic rhythm of a failing drum. By his estimation, Caius would not live to see the sun rise again. Caius walked out into the blinding Roman sunlight, struck silent. The noise of the city, the shouting vendors, the creaking cartwheels suddenly sounded distant, like a roar from another shore. With only hours remaining, the smudge on the contract dissolved into nothingness. The lawsuit he was crafting against his neighbor over a leaning olive tree seemed absurd, a joke told by a madman. Why would a dying man care about a tree line? On his way home, he encountered his rival merchant, Septimus. Ordinarily, Caius would have wasted 20 minutes crafting a veiled insult. Instead, he simply nodded. "I wish you prosperity, Septimus," he said, and he meant it. There was no time left for the heavy baggage of malice. Upon entering his villa, he didn't rush to his study to hoard his earnings. Instead, he walked into the atrium, where his wife, Livia, sat weaving. For years, their conversations had been transactional discussions of household budgets and dinner guests. Now, looking at her, he realized he might never see the curve of her jaw or the gray in her hair again. "Put down the wool, Livia," he said softly. They sat in the garden as the sky turned to bruised purple and gold. He ate his evening meal of bread and figs, savoring the texture and sweetness as if he had never truly eaten before. He spoke to her not of his ambitions, but of his gratitude. He said exactly what he meant, stripped of all pretense. Every word was weighed, heavy with sincerity, because he could not afford to waste breath on frivolity. He acted with the dignity and focus of a man who had no future to manipulate. Caius went to sleep that night with a clean soul, fully prepared to depart. But the morning sun broke through the window, blinding and bright. He awoke, inhaling a deep, painless breath. A messenger arrived shortly after with a frantic apology from the physician's assistant. The charts had been swapped. Caius was perfectly healthy. Caius stood in the morning light, holding the letter. He looked at the lawsuit regarding the olive tree, sitting on his desk. He threw it into the brazier and watched it burn. He walked out into the city, alive and healthy, yet he did not return to his old ways. He had learned the secret. He continued to speak, act, and intend, as he had the night before with the urgent, essential clarity of a man who knows the sun is setting. If this story connected with you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.